This is the planet Earth. This is the place where humans live. This planet was passing through a really difficult situation, war. This world lived in a constant war since 1914. When everyone thought that the war was finished in 1945, it was actually the beginning of a new age that will mark the world forever. This era was a war between the communists and capitalists. This war was not a common war, it was a race to prove who was better. This conflict changed the world forever and marked a new beginning.
Thanks to this war, we have the majority of technological devices we use daily. You may not believe it, but I invite you to look around that phone that you're using and realize that it was created thanks to the space race. The TV in which you are watching this documentary was also a result of this. Like many other things that you use in your daily life, but this race had not just good effects. This had also its negative aspects such as espionage, sabotage, murders, kidnappings, and deaths.
Now, we will ask an outstanding student of the Tecnológico de Monterrey, what does he know about the space race?
Here we are with our first interview with a high decorated student from the Tecnológico Monterrey, Sergio Rodriguez. Sergio, welcome to the interview. Thanks. So, what do you know about the space race?
About space race, I only know that the Soviet Union sent a man to the space and USA sent a man to the moon.
Yeah, that is right. So, what if the Soviets would have landed to the moon first instead of, of America?
Yes.
What would be different?
I believe that it would change the time of the Cold War. I think it would last more years.
Yeah, more years. So, what do you know about the Apollo program? And do you know how the astronauts prepare themselves to leave the space?
I only know that about the Apollo program was the program to send the first man to the moon. And I know that they are trained like with simulations, like if they were in the space.
Okay, yeah. So the space race costed millions of dollars. So do you think it was worth? Why?
No, I think that that money will be spent in better things like in education or things that will help the general society.
Mm-hmm. So why do you think any country hasn't sent a mission to the moon since Apollo 17 in 1972?
I believe that the other countries are not enough trained like to make a mission like that.
So this was the interview with Sergio Rodriguez.
Apollo 11 crew consisted of Commander Neil Armstrong, Command Module Pilot Michael Collins, and Lunar Module Pilot Edwin Aldrin. When reaching the moon, Neil Armstrong became the first man to ever touch it, and all of this was broadcasted worldwide, live with almost 600 million viewers. When he made his first steps, he said,
"It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind."
a famous quote said by Neil Armstrong when arriving and first stepping on the moon. The phrase quickly spread throughout the world, thanks to the newspapers, radio broadcasts, etc. It was a moment that marked the human race. In a way, it became timeless. When he referred to a small step, he meant that he felt small at the time after discovering another planet. The giant leap mainly referred that it was a giant leap towards science, as a growth in knowledge. It wasn't until Apollo 11 that the United States could finally bring a man to the moon, Neil Armstrong. Although it was a great success, what it took to get there had a great cost, in which lives were taken and accidents occurred on both sides.
There were many failures.
These failures cost the life of many people. One example of this is the Vanguard TV3, launched to space on December 6, 1957. This was the first attempt of the USA of sending a satellite. The satellite exploded before taking off. Another example of this is the Apollo 6, also of the USA. But the event that is remembered as the worst failure is the Challenger, launched on January 28. This rocket cost the life of 7 people and got disintegrated after 73 seconds of its launch.
Imagine, it is the year 1955. Both Russia and the United States announced that they are launching satellites to the orbit. The Russians took this so serious that even established a commission whose goal was to beat the US in putting a satellite into space. President Kennedy went to Congress and announced that he wanted to be the first to put a man on the moon. As a result, the Apollo Moon program was created. To help this program, the United States launched the Gemini program, which would develop the technologies for the Apollo spacecrafts.
Hello, we are right now with teacher Silvia, who is a recognized teacher of history. Now, the first question is, since you have studied the world history, do you consider the space race is an event that changed the world, and why?
Well, I think it's not so much the space race that changed the world, it's the inventions that came from the space race. Because a lot of the technologies that we use today are a consequence of that event, yes.
I agree with you, teacher. The second question is, how do you think that the space race changed the rocket industry?
Well, without the space race, a lot of what is now being used in airplane technology wouldn't exist. Unfortunately, it's also changed things like the type of weapons that are now being used, intercontinental rockets and such. But I do consider that it has been defining, yes.
Yeah, that is true, teacher. And do you think that without the space race, we would still have the technology that we have nowadays?
No, as I mentioned before, it's not only the space race. In general, a lot of technology that we now have was originally developed for military use. And yes, a lot of things such as memory foam, which are now used in our daily lives, were in some way developed during the space race. So yes, it has contributed a lot to the technology we use now.
Okay, and who do you think that really won the space race?
Okay, if I had to choose a winner, honestly, I would go for Russia. I think Russia was winning. I honestly consider that the only reason why the USSR didn't beat the United States to the moon was because it didn't have the resources necessary to go faster. But technologically, the USSR was definitely beating the US, yes.
Thank you, teacher. And the last question. Which nation do you think sacrificed the most?
The USSR, definitely, because one of the consequences of the large amount of money that was invested into the space race was the fall of the USSR. So they weren't balanced in how much money and effort they put into it, and ended up not paying attention to other more important things. So in the end, it caused their downfall. So yes, the USSR ended up suffering more.
That was the last question. Thank you very much, teacher, and thank you.
The USSR knew they lost the race to bring the man to the moon, so they focused on other areas, such as the orbital space station, in which they still dominate till today. What is the space race was money. Both countries spent millions and millions of dollars in building the spacecrafts and to carry out the missions, so at the end, both of them were short in budget.
The flight has come to an end, and we hope that you now have more perspectives about the space race, and that it was not just a conflict between the United States and the USSR, and we hope that you realize that it was also a time where many inventions from our daily life come from.
But to finish with a perfect trip, just a quick idea of what inventions and technologies were created thanks to this event: the TV satellite, laptops, 3D graphics and virtual reality, cell phones, satellite navigation.
These are just some examples of many more. As we can see, many of the inventions we use in our daily lives are thanks to the space race. With all this experience that we travel, it is important to reflect on the event and notice how different would it be without the space race.
You may be wondering, what happened up there